Welcome, guys. This is our first live streaming episode of Not Mainstream News, the podcast. I really enjoy everybody that's tuning in, that watches, that supports the channel, that's growing with us. And I just ask that you spread the channel and keep talking about us and keep doing the things that make us grow, because I feel like now we're in a setting where we, the people, we have to be in charge of the change, and we have to make the change, and we have to put the news out, because the news just frankly quite won't do it. So this is the Not Mainstream News podcast. Roll the intro.
There have been polls over the years asking Americans about their trust of the mainstream media.
Global mainstream media are facing a trust crisis.
The media have been so relentlessly dishonest.
This House believes that we cannot trust the mainstream media.
The meaning and purpose of life is to inform people, and you're failing.
Not Mainstream News, the podcast. So for our first podcast episode, I just wanted to talk about something that was personal to me that just happened. So let me just tell you, give me a brief history of myself and what's going on with me. So born and raised in Florida till I was 18, left, joined the military, did about 5-6 years in the military, deployed, seen some things, heard some things, and I guess I explored the world. And when I mean I explored the world, I've been overseas, I've been to other countries, I've been to other states beside in the United States. So I've seen different variety of things. During that time, I started to, I guess, challenge and see challenges or discrepancies in ways that I was taught and beliefs, as far as politics. So I was primarily, as you may can tell, Florida native, Southern Florida, Democrat. I was always taught Democrat, vote Democrat, they for the people, blah, blah, blah. No research involved. Then I was growing up, guess who I saw coming in? Barack Obama. So I seen Obama, black guy, blah, 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 the whole racist spiel. And I was like, yeah, that's something I could stand for. I'll be honest, I never voted for him. One, because the first year he ran in office, I couldn't vote. I was like 17 or something like that. The second year I was deployed and I didn't care. And I really didn't care about politics. So I would be what I consider now a low information voter. That's what I used to be. So grew up just primarily Democrat. Then I joined the military and I started seeing how the Democrats was kind of against war. And they always did like pay cuts or suggested pay cuts towards the military, didn't want to give us raises, that kind of thing, low budgets, then was against war. Oddly enough, that is very much transitioned. They swapped roles. The Republicans used to be pro-war and they would give big bonuses for the military because they were pro-war. Swapped. It's totally different now. The Democrats are pro-war. The Republicans don't want to go to war. So that was the main reason why I started being like, I really think I like the Democrats, because like, why would I vote for me to get a pay cut? Doesn't make sense. Or vote to not get a pay raise. Didn't make sense to me. But now that all this Trump stuff has happened and I done started doing research and understanding what the Democratic Party is about, I have totally 180 to 360, however you want to say it. And my parents and most of the people that I know from Florida, i.e. my family members, hate it. They're all Democrats. Now, the reason that I said that is me and my mom were having a conversation and she said something that caught my attention that I think a lot of people do. Honestly, I think a lot of people do this. And I'm not even picking on one side, Democrat or Republican. I think a lot of people do this. This is saying that they have in Florida, or maybe the Democratic Party that spread mainstream. And it's something like, let me share my screen so you can see what I'm going to say. This is this. Vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who. I don't know if the Republican Party has something like this. I'll be honest, I don't know that. But I know this is very, 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 very prominent in the Democratic Party. And essentially what that means to me is vote blue no matter who. Vote for us, don't matter who it is. Just vote for us so they can't win. And I think a lot of that started during the Trump era. Don't quote me on it. Because I got into politics maybe the last 5-6 years, major, where I'm doing research into things. But I think a lot of that started during the Trump era, and they justified by saying, vote for us and get him out. That's what I think that stemmed from. And my discrepancy with this is, and I'm not saying the Republicans should say something like this either. I don't know if they say this, but if they do, I'm gonna disagree with it as well. My predominantly reason why I hate this is you said it doesn't matter the candidate. Vote for us just because you're a party. And my family is very much, I hate to say this, and I don't want her to take offense to this, but my family, especially my parents, are low information voters. And what do I mean by that? They're low information voters because they read or watch or hear a snippet of something. They're told it a snippet or a piece, and they just roll with it. They don't fact check it. They don't validate it. And if you watch mainstream news, they'll have a story that says Trump said this. This is the example I'll give you. So Trump cut off foreign aid, and it was like 2 or 3 news channels, mainstream news channels, that were saying that he cut off aid for like housing, food stamps and stuff like that, when it's clearly written in the bill that it's not going to affect any of that. And they were spreading that information. So my parents see that snippet and they're going around saying, oh yeah, Trump cut off the aid to these people. These people are not going to be able to survive. They're not going to live without XYZ. Well, that's completely not true. And they don't do no research to validate it because they don't like him. Whereas me, if they said Trump did something, I'm going to research it. If they said Biden did something, I'm going to research it. And then I come up with mine. So that's why I say low information voters. So my parents just hate him so much that they just going to vote blue. They don't care who it is. And my whole disbelief to that is, so if that person goes against your morals, you still vote for him? Because it's blue no matter who, right? So we went through this whole mental scheme, but they don't want to answer this. She don't want to answer this question, and most people don't. So when I say that, I said, so if the Democrats said you can't be a Christian no more, you going to vote blue? So you can't just vote based off of, this is the whole concept. You can't vote based off of party. This is the merit that I think people need to understand, both sides. You can't vote based off of what color you are, meaning I'm red, so I'm voting red. No, you have to vote based off of the candidate, based off of the policies, and based off of the characteristics of things that you like. I'm not saying that you should just vote for Trump. That's not correct. If you don't like Trump, you don't vote for him. But don't say you didn't vote for him because you just don't want red to win. That doesn't make sense. Vote for him because you have a list of reasons. And I think in this new age of social media, you can be programmed to hate somebody and not even know why. And the reason why I say that is I'm pretty informed about policies and things that Trump do now, especially I'm in Tennessee. So being a black guy in Tennessee that votes or that will wear a MAGA hat shocks a lot of people, especially if you I have a statue. So people are like, whoa, that's different. So I know a lot of stuff about it. And the people that usually come up to me and ask me questions like, why would you vote for him or something? We have these conversations. Most of them are cordial. I always ask them, why do you hate Trump? And they never could give me an answer. They never. Or it's always like, well, they said, no. Why do you dislike, hate, or say he should not run this country? Well, he did the whole thing with the thing. Like nothing they say makes factual sense or like can be proven. And it's okay that you don't like somebody for stuff you can't be proven. But the point that I try to make or get people to understand is the only reason some people really do hate him and they can list the reasons, and that's fine. But I want to say a large percentage of the people that don't like Trump just don't like him because they're told to not like him. And they're told to not like him. And the reasons why they're told to not like him a lot of the times are not true, partially true, or kind of true. And these people don't look into seeing that they've been manipulated to not like somebody. For an example, Barack Obama stays saying that quote about, he said, those Nazis, the Nazi thing, when he said they were good people. And then if you listen to the whole interview or the whole portion of his sentence, he said there were a bunch of good people on both sides. I don't really agree with the Nazis, but there were good people on both sides. But they break the snippet down, send that out to the people they don't like. Bam. Then they say, this is why we don't like him. He supports Nazis. So that's what I mean when I say these low information voters. Like you hear a snippet and you run with it. I do that sometimes when I'm reading certain things. Like when I'm reading like a restaurant name, it might say chicken noodle soup bar, or it might say chicken noodle bar. But I read chicken noodle and I assume it say soup. But the place name was Chicken Noodle Bar. That's how people listen to news now. And if you watch mainstream news, it's all about ratings and it's all about like kind of manipulating the facts to prove their point. News No longer like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, kind of just give you a cut and dry. This is what's going on. And you can maybe make an argument even then they didn't even give you the straight news. But more of the news that we watch, especially if you're watching like the CNNs and all that kind of stuff, NBCs and the Foxes, a lot of the news is opinion based. Why are we watching 90% opinion based news? It shouldn't be opinion based news, 90% at least. There should be, 3 segments. This is the facts. We not going to tell you how we feel about it. This is just the facts. Decide on your own. Non-biased news. I used to think NPR was like that, but then I done dug into a rabbit hole with that. And if you haven't understood or know, most of the news, especially mainstream news, is Democratic backed, based, or funded in one way, shape, or form. There's a very small percentage of Republican news, but now it's coming out. There's more independent that's getting way more views than mainstream news, which is funny. So vote blue no matter who is a no bueno. Like, think before you vote. And don't vote just off parties. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think there should be parties. I think they need to get rid of parties, but they do that for control. I don't think it should be no parties. I think it should be 3 candidates. Just go against us. There's no parties. It's just 3 candidates. Kamala Harris and who is her VP? Donald Trump and JD and said name, let's just say RFK and his VP. They should just do it like that. There's no parties. You vote based off of names. Stop all this party stuff. Because when you do party stuff, you don't vote based off of your own interests. Sometimes you vote based off of your alliance to something. Because I feel like human nature, we like to be assigned in a group of something. We like to be we don't like to be by ourselves. That's why it's so easy to like gang up on people during the COVID time when people say something that was factual, but they were the only ones saying it. Everybody liked to gang up on them because they want to be in their club. They want to stay in their club. And when you have clubs and parties and all that stuff, you could be swayed easier than if it's just this person. We're basing it off of this person. If it was up to me, I'd delete parties. Parties are stupid. There's no Republicans and Democrats. We're all Americans. So stop the party thing, because half of these people don't even care about us, and half of these people are manipulated, and we already know. As you see, as Elon keeps releasing more and more of their findings using AI to find the collusion between NPOs funding other NPOs, funding NPOs that fund parties. Like, we should have known this was going on when we figured out Black Lives Matters. I hated that organization. And you want to know the odd truth? I was told I was pro Black Lives Matters, the movement, but I was pro Black Lives Matters, the organization as well. Until one of my white friends was telling me, like, it's not what you think. He was trying to explain it to me. I was just like, no. Didn't want to believe it. Then I did my own research, and I want to say a couple of months later, they got arrested for some, I guess, money laundering and a couple other things. But if you realize how Black Lives Matters was, it was a organization that was started for same-sex marriage, to promote same-sex marriage, okay? So how do we go from that to Black Lives Matter? And it became like a political tool because it was attached to all the police shootings, and it just didn't make sense to me once I understood it. Like, think about this. Black Lives Matter is a multi-million-dollar organization, meaning people donated millions of dollars, including the government. If you look at, because it's a public entity and it's a not NGO, you can look at where their funding comes from and who paying who and where's the money going to. And a lot of this money was coming from Democrats. Odd. So once I started seeing that, and then I seen during like all these riots, they would go to like people's cities when things were going on, like the Taylor, don't quote me on the name. I think his name was Tiana Taylor. Not Tiana Taylor, but the young lady that got shot at her house. The George Floyd, they would go to these places, incite the riot, essentially, like not literally tell people to break and burn stuff, but they would touch onto these emotions, and then you get mad and you just boil with anger, and these people start rioting. It will go from protests to riots, and they'll start rioting, they'll start breaking stuff, and then Black Lives Matters would leave and go to the next city and do the same thing. And all these places that they're doing this to are minority places, Black owned, and places of not high financial stature. So these are in the poverty neighborhoods or poor neighborhoods that this is all going on. So you done burnt down, broke, destroyed all these businesses that support you. So now you got to drive 40, 30 minutes to another neighborhood because you burnt down the business and they didn't come back. It made no sense to me. So you're You're already talking about how bad your neighborhood is, so you destroy it in the place that you got to live. Make it make sense, bro. You destroy the place where you live at. That's like I got a problem with my brother and I burn down my own house. It doesn't make sense to me. So they would do all that and then they would leave. And you left with your neighborhood tarnished and destroyed, and they would just move on to the next place and start, getting those people mad and then collect all the money and leave. I've never seen Black Lives Matters. And in the comment section, tell me if I'm lying or if this makes sense to you. I've never seen a Black Lives Matter, what's the word I'm looking for, event. It's always been sponsored by Black Lives Matter. And if you don't understand what that means, that's like me throwing an event. What happens is I throw an event, let's say to push minority black businesses or minority business owners. So I throw the event. I fund the event, right? I fund the event. And I want to get sponsorship. So Black Lives Matter will sponsor it and just put it on their website, talk about it, and send a representative to it. And now it'll be like Black Lives Matter sponsored my event. But they never funded anything. It was a bunch of other smaller entities and non-NGOs that would sponsor these events and pay for them financially. But Black Lives Matter never actually financed any of these events, if that makes sense. So they just lived off of the name and kept getting money and didn't put money back into the communities that they say they, i.e., support. That's the moral of what I'm getting at. You can say Black Lives Matter all you want, but if you're not doing anything to make change besides telling people to be mad and burning down their neighborhoods, you're a worthless organization. You didn't give any money to anything. You just used your name and your backing to say, like, my NGO provided all the financing and did this, and you just attached your name to it to make it seem like you were doing something. You didn't do anything. Now, granted, the other NGO makes money because now they're more reputable and they get a bigger branding because Black Lives Matter draws attraction. So that's how you make your money, and that's why you do it. But that never came out of Black Lives Matter's budget. So your purpose is purposeless. It doesn't make sense. So I found that out. And that's when I started realizing how the government funds these entities to convince the citizens of whatever they want, whatever the template is or game plan, they convince us. And a lot of the times we fall for it. And I realized this through COVID. COVID showed me this. A lot of people are sheep. We talk and bark like we're wolves, but we are sheep. Majority of people are sheep. We talk and we bark like we're wolves and we howl until it's time to be a wolf. Till it's time to defend the pack. No, we huddle up and we become sheep. And I learned that through COVID. A lot of people, they just do what it's told. They don't want the friction. And I know sometimes friction causes a lot of stress, but a lot of people don't want the friction, so they become sheep. And sometimes when you're doing this, you can even go against your own sensors or it's wrong or something ain't right about it, but you override that because you don't want to figure it out or you don't want to cause a conundrum. And I realized that during COVID. And my eyes opened during COVID. And that's when I started to see a lot of disparities in our government and how things are ran. But we're going to take the time to show you something. This is the Not Mainstream News podcast. Coffee mugs. They're going to be for sale soon. If you want to get one, comment in the section or you could message me and we'll get you one sent out, but they're coming soon. You can buy one for, we haven't came up with the price yet. I won't lie to you, but these are the coffee mugs. Let me know if you want one in the comment section and we'll get it all figured out. Let me take a sip of this Liberty water. So I hope that made sense, but that was the main gist of what I was getting at. The whole vote blue no matter who blows me. I don't get it. Just vote for anybody. It don't matter. Just make sure they're in the party. Go D all the way down. Makes no sense. I'm kind of a Republican, but I'm different. And the reason why I say that is I'm not necessarily attached to any party. I don't care about parties. I'm attached to the candidate and what you're going to do. And from everything that I've seen about Trump, it just makes sense. It makes sense why the system is now against him and people can't understand it. People seem to understand why the system is against him. The system, I'll call it what everybody call it, the deep state do not want these major changes to happen. Why would you? Why would you want your citizens to be educated, Because once people are educated, what do? They learn and then they understand and then they know that that's incorrect or we need to be doing something different. It's harder to control people when they're educated. That's why when we had slaves, you couldn't read. Why wouldn't they want you to read? They don't want you to educate yourself. They didn't want you to be able to read the Bible. That's why they didn't want to teach you how to read. You can control people when they're not educated. You can make things make sense when you're not educated. So they don't want the citizens healthy. They don't want them educated. They don't want them smart, i.e. that's why college is terrible right now, because it's a democratically ran organization overall. And they are really just there to indoctrinate you into just stupidity, to be honest. Schooling in itself, public schooling in itself, is more of an indoctrination than an education system. And they're not really meant to teach you. They're meant to make you learn, meant to show you how to learn something and retain how you learn something so you can go into the workforce and not question things. That's how public school education is now. So they don't want you educated. They don't want you smart. They don't want you healthy, because if you're not healthy, you're not focused on all the other things. If you're healthy, you have the liberty and luxury to focus on other things that may not be as important to an unhealthy person. So they don't want you healthy. That's why they won't tell you that soda's bad for you. They won't tell you that diet soda is worse than the regular soda. Most people do not know this. I don't know how you not know this at this point. Fake sugar is worse than real sugar. So high fructose corn syrup is not good for you. Your body cannot process that completely like it can process cane sugar or regular sugar, as you may say. That's why the high fructose corn syrup is just cheaper to make, so they can make more with bulk. That's why they swapped out sugar. That's why the real Coca-Colas are more expensive. That's real sugar. High fructose corn syrup is bad for you. Your body cannot metabolize it. That's why you have an additional calories when you drink soda. That's why soda is so bad for you. You can't process all of it, so it just stores in your body. Becomes fat. So diet soda is worse than that, because it's even more processed sugar, scientifically modified sugar. So that's why diet soda is worse. But anyway, they don't want you healthy. They don't want you smart. They want you educated. And then once you get those things, you start looking into what they call now conspiracies. And you look into these conspiracies and you start to find out like inadequacies and truths, lies, falsifications, and all this kind of stuff. How could they hate Trump? That's the one question that I want to know. So in the comment section, if you're in the comment section, do me a favor. Tell me why because I'm genuinely want to know this. So just take the time and tell me in the comment section, what attracted you to Harris? What attracted you to Kamala? What made you feel that she was better for the country, and what made you feel like she was better for you as a person? And I'm not going to argue with you. I just want to know. I'm genuinely curious on like what drawed people to her, because I personally don't understand it. I genuinely don't understand why would you do that. So in the comment section, if you have time, like if you voted for Kamala, please just let me know why. What drew you? What did you relate to with her? But back to the conversation. Yeah, they do not want you with these type of things. So he wants to get you back healthy. He wants to get you off of these sodas and candies and processed foods, and he's getting people like RFK in the office, Tulsi Gabbard, so people can stop lying to us consistently. Everybody hates this. It doesn't matter what party you're in. We all hate when the government lies to us, but yet we're like, he is wrong for the country. He's doing literally the things that we complain about, but we don't want him to do it because these mainstream news medias and other entities are telling you he's terrible and he's evil and he's racist and he's X, Y, and Z. But he's literally trying to accomplish the things that we've been complaining about for decades. And he's the closest to doing it so far. Like with presidents, they may only do one thing that you can attach to their name and say that made the country better or worse in a lot of cases. But they only get that one thing that they said they were going to do. Sorry. And like for like Obamacare was his. Trump was supposed to be the wall, and he did some other things. We can elaborate on those later. But you hit this one thing. But he's trying to do like 8 different major things. Reform the healthcare system, get Americans healthy, get the dollar back on the top of the map, change the education system, Stop letting us get screwed in these trade agreements and trade wars and stuff of that nature. Stop the government from lying to us about what's going on with the military or covert ops or that kind of thing. The CIA, FBI, turn them from agencies that attack or run missions against the United States citizens when they're not supposed to. Reforming immigration, like that's 6 or 7 things that I just named off the top, just easy, just off the top. So, but these news people tell you he wants to kill it. He wants to kick everybody out of the country. Well, if he wanted to kick everybody out of the country, why didn't he do it the first time? And this is a fact. Obama deported more people than Trump his first term. Look it up. Did we call him racist? How could this should tell you how brainwashed we are now. How could a business, let's say America's a business, we are on the brink of bankruptcy. So that means you done borrowed so much money, you do not know how to pay it back. You're close to that point. You're maybe not quite there yet, but you're close to that point. And you don't know how to pay it back. You don't know if you're going to be able to make payroll soon. And it's getting low. Funds are getting low. People are now saying that as a business, it doesn't matter. Keep going into debt until you can't afford it to pay for things that you don't need or you can't afford. When has that been a standard? We are going bankrupt. We can't keep affording to pay for people to come into our country and we take care of them. And a lot of the people, I realize a lot of people that saying this stuff like they shouldn't be deported are people that don't even pay a large percentage in the taxes. It's people that's paying, it's like the people that's making $20,000 a year saying that. You're being supported off the government and you're telling us to support some more people and you don't even pay into this. You don't have no investment into this. I own businesses and the basic tax percentage where I'm at is almost 22 to 25%. So if you make $1, you got to give them $0.25 if you don't have any deductions. That's mind-boggling. If I make $1, I only get to keep 75, and that's not including profit margin. So I'm just doing basic math, not with the deductions and what you can and can't do and depreciation and all that. So you owe them 25 cents to every one of your dollar that you work for, and then somebody else gets off that 25 cent. Somebody takes 15% to pay for their housing. 15 cents off of your 25 when you got to pay for it out of that. It makes no sense to me. So I realize a lot of the people that are saying that they should stay here and they should do this and we should take care of them are people that aren't invested in the country like most people are. Majority of the people understand that first you have to take care of yourself, then you have to take care of your family, then you have to you can take care of other people. That's how churches work. Churches take care of their members first. Then if they have more than enough assets and money and financially support, they take care of people in the community. And then once they start doing a lot of things and they can afford taking care of people in the community, they take care of people in the state and they keep branching out to the country. They don't just take care of people in the country and let the people in their actual church members go broke and can't do anything for them. They start in-house. That's how life works. You have to, golden rule, they always say you have to pay yourself before you pay anyone else. That's the rule. You don't get to shortcut that. So I don't know where we got the confusion from, but like I said, I think it's a lot of low education people that are not really deeply invested into this country. And when you're not invested into this country, you just want it to do everything you want it to do for you. You don't understand the consequences of what you're asking for a lot of the times. So that's probably in a short way of saying that's why I voted for him. This is my first year voting and I voted for Trump. I'm 30 and I voted for Trump and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I don't know, in maybe 2-3 years, it will depend on what happened. If I could be like, I don't know, this was terrible. But as of now, I don't see me saying that. And if it does happen, I'll come on here and I'll say, I didn't see this coming. This was a bad idea. But if you ask me, I think he's doing the right thing so far. And freedom people from the what they call the Capitol resurrection. Some of the people was trying to hurt the cops, but I'm talking about people just walking in there and they just arrested them. Let them people get out of jail. Biden, didn't he pardon like 5,000 people? Come on, Trump, get him out. But I already know he signed it executive order for him to get out. The only reason they took that so serious is because that was the first time that politicians was held accountable by like regular citizens, or could be held accountable from regular citizens. They were like, people are coming for what we're doing. Like they could hold I think they said they grabbed one of the senators or something, just trying to kidnap him or something like that. But that was like one of the first time in like decades where an actual politician could be held accountable by the citizens, not by the government, by the citizens. So that's why they're taking that so serious. And if you ask me, both parties have corruption, but a large percentage of the corruption that affects normal people come from the Democratic Party. You can hate me for saying that, but I believe it's true. Both parties are corrupt, but a large percentage of the corruption that affects the normal citizens come from the Democratic Party. I said that for a reason. So that was like one of the first times where they could be, where citizens are like back in the day, you know how they used to just, if you did treason and stuff like that, the citizens used to come and just hang you. Hang you. That was like the new version of that. So they was like, we can never let this happen. We got to make an example out of everyone here. And I think they let it happen. Like the FBI was inciting it. The FBI was inciting it, trying to make it worse. They didn't give the, I want to say the police chief assistance when he asked for more assistance and things of that nature. They knew it was coming, but they didn't do anything else. So they let it happen because they wanted to double down and do this to the people. And one thing about corrupt people and politicians, they never want to be held accountable for what they do. Like the fires in LA. The mayor came out and was on vacation. She could have came back and said, I'm sorry I was on vacation. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to figure this out. We're going to get these fires put out, and we're going to figure out ways to get our citizens back in their homes and cover them and get them in food. We're going to figure this out. No, she's just ignore people. They never want to be held accountable. They never want to, what's the word? The overflow tanks don't, what's the word I'm thinking of? I can't think of it. The place where they supposed to have all the water for the fire hydrants, the reservoirs, empty. They immediately, you should just come out and just say, we shouldn't have done that. This is our bad. We need to fix this, and we're going to work to fix this, and we're going to never let this happen again. No, they just ignore it or move on. Well, we tried to save the fish. Nobody cares about no fish when they just lost that $800,000 house that they saved up for 10 years. We don't care. So I think politicians have a hard time just saying they were wrong or saying sorry, because then I think other people will look at them like as weak. So they have a hard time just being like, sorry, I messed up and this is how I feel. Like me, when I mess up, I have to take accountability for it. Politicians typically don't have to do that. And the news cycle is so fast, they get to move through it fairly quickly. So they might do something wrong, but in 2-3 days it blows over unless it's real crazy. Unless it's Trump or something like that. They'll air that for weeks. But that's why I think they took the resurrection so serious, and they was getting everybody. If your phone pinged on the tower close to there, they was looking for you. So freedom, people, man. But this is my first episode, and this concludes the Not Mainstream News. We're gonna have more different topics and subjects coming on here shortly, but I'm gonna just keep you up to date on a lot of this politics, the politics that's going on in America. Because man, if you're not in the season, if you're not paying attention, there's a lot going on. Like especially the jet crash and the Black Hawk crash. Since that one happened, I think 3 planes have crashed total. The Black Hawk one, the private jet plane one, and one just crashed yesterday. I think it was 2 Lear jets or something like that. So that's 3 planes crashed in less than 7 days. Awkward. So we're gonna try to keep you up to date with a lot of the stuff going on with that. And sometimes we're just going to have some social stuff, some topics that we're going to talk about and elaborate on. But if this posted on YouTube, in the comment sections, please list some of the things that attracted you to Kamala and just let me know. I'm going to read through them and we could talk about it. But yeah, this is Not Mainstream News, and I'm Robin. Deuce.